You know, I think every age that we live in is a very exciting age. You know, when I think of my granny, she saw everything. She saw, my great-grandfather was one of the first people in Johannesburg to have a motor car.
Yeah.
My great-grandfather sunk the deepest shaft there.
Yeah.
He was a mine captain. They lived where Gold Reef City is. And when Gold Reef City opened, we went to have dinner at one of the restaurants there. And we opened the menu, and there was a picture of my grandfather on the menu. And they all his mining medals are in the mining museum. They broke all records on that 14th shaft going back there. And my mum said, you know, all the Welsh miners came out here, and they all lived in sort of boarding houses around there. And she said at night you could hear these Welsh miners singing, you know. And but I think they lived through exciting times because the silent movies, you know, and then she lived right till she saw somebody on the moon. I mean, you know, television. My husband and I are living through things. I mean, my one son says, you know, Mom, you were born before PC. I said, no, I'm not that old. He says, no, I mean before computers. But we were. And I sometimes do homework with my grandchildren. I can add up quicker in my head than they can on a, you know, because we were taught to do that. We didn't have all these things to help us. You know, I go into the supermarket and see people on their cell phones, and I think, you know, we knew our times table. The children today, they don't know that. So everyone says, oh, you're getting old. But what difference does it make? You have a season in your life. And each season in your life has something wonderful to give you. Because as you get older, you have the pleasure of your grandchildren. I mean, I look at the teenagers today. I know a lot of old people say, oh, the teenagers. There's nothing wrong with the teenagers today. When I grew up in the 60s, that's when people were worse than they are now. You had a whole hippie thing where people would go away. Their parents didn't even know where they were. And they were smoking dacha and the flower children. So the teenagers are no worse than we are. But they're living in different times. I mean, I always feel very privileged. I stayed home with my children. Very few parents, mothers today have that, you know. So it's a different thing, and it's not easy to be a young parent today. I look at my teenage grandchildren, and I'm very happy I'm not bringing them up. You know, I love them, but I don't always like what they do. I mean, they have a tattoo, it drives me insane. But they're not the only one. And you know what? When I think about it, how many men came back from the war with tattoos on their arms, you know? So it's just a new fad, and I just think how sad you're going to be when you grow up and see this beautiful butterfly is going to become a moth when you're older. But you know what? When you look at them, basically, there's nothing wrong with the teenagers. They've just got to be guided. And you know what? You can only do so much. People have a free will. You can teach your children, they'll come out of your home, they'll get married, and they'll start their home. They run their home. I go to my children, they run their lives completely different to what we do. I looked after my little granddaughter for the weekend, Jade. Her and I are very close. She says, Granny, I love coming here. I said, why? She said, well, we do things properly. We sit at the table, we have serviettes, we do. And I think, well, if that's what I can pass on, you know, time, people are in a rush today. And I know even with my children, you know, when they were all sport mad. So we all used to sit at the table and have dinner. But dinner became later and later, and then they were going out and their dinner was kept for. So even my life was different from my parents' life, you know. On a Sunday you'd have these huge family lunches, and you'd sit at the table till 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. people don't do that anymore. You know, there's other things to do. And so you can't expect the young people to live the way we live. Go and I think, you know, really if people would stop criticizing and just let people live their lives, do what they want to do,